you said that it should be, my talk, thank you very much, should be distributed. I took the precaution of printing it and distributing it to you. So it answers your questions, Mr. Sisit. I can report again to my wife that I answered your questions. Other questions?
One more question. Anyone? Paul? Mr. Pocho? Yes.
Justice, thank you very much for an excellent talk, as usual. Some of us who live here know we're living in very interesting political times in the Philippines. And the Supreme Court has been in the midst of all the political developments going on in the Philippines. And I'm just curious, for some of our guests who are here from other countries, if you could comment on some of the issues that the Supreme Court grappled with in the most recent emergency issue that you had to deal with, and how you, to the extent that you can comment on it, if you could give us some sense of what are the issues that you had to deal with to come to that decision.
Perhaps a little background. In the Philippines, the Supreme Court plays a role that Supreme Courts in other countries don't, particularly in parliamentary democracies. In the Philippines, the Philippine Supreme Court has been expressly mandated by our Constitution. I think I should quote the Constitution. It has made it the duty of the Supreme Court of the Philippines to strike down grave abuse of discretion. These are the words, exact words of the Constitution. Grave abuse of discretion committed by any branch or instrumentality of government, be it the presidency, be it Congress, be it the Commission on Election. So we have a duty in the Supreme Court of the Philippines to strike down grave abuse of discretion. Now, grave abuse of discretion are of two types. One would be a straight violation of the Constitution or the law. So, any official whose actions are violative of our Constitution or of our laws would be well, not struck down, but would be probably censured by the court and would strike down the actions to be void. And the second category is it's the more controversial one, and it is an action that is arbitrary, whimsical, or made out of personal ill will. So, grave abuse of discretion, while stated in our Constitution, has not been defined by the Constitution. This is the reason why the gravest questions in the country are brought to the Supreme Court. It seems that people are not satisfied unless these controversies are decided by the court. I wish this were not so, because in giving us that role, we become controversial. We become part of the ups and downs of political questions. But it is our duty to settle these questions. I would rather personally that our political departments of government, our politicians, settle their own problems. As I have said many times in the past, insofar as determining economic policies is concerned, the court should defer to the policy-determining branches of government, which are the presidency and Congress. But there are many controversies now facing us. You see, there are three major presidential actions brought up by various groups to the Supreme Court, and they're pending resolution by the court. One is what we call the CPR, the calibrated preemptive response, the policy of President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo to meet the demonstration and rallies in the street. I will not give you the details because that's sub judice. That's still being deliberated on by the court. I'm just answering the question as to what are these problems brought by brought before the court. Second is the controversy on Executive Order 464. That's an order issued by the President requiring members of the Executive Department, from the cabinet members like Chairman Fernando to the generals and other members of the armed forces of the Philippines, to bureau directors, to get her permission, to get the permission of the President before they can appear and testify in Congress. The Senate of the Philippines brought action in the Supreme Court to nullify Executive Order 464 on the ground that it debilitates, allegedly, the power of Congress to investigate and to legislate. You see, they said that the power of Congress to pass laws cannot be discharged wisely unless they are given that authority and power to investigate in aid of legislation.